Hey guys, welcome to Boo Bros. So today we have myself, who is introing a Boo Bros video for the first time. I usually kind of stay in the background for these, but I'm here with my Florida counterparts, Mr. Losh TV,
Hello there.
and the always wonderful Mr. ZombieChris.
Hey!
And we are currently waiting for other Boo Bros to maybe film a podcast. And so we thought, what if we just make a little supplemental video just because? So we came up with something. You want to tell them what that is, Losh?
Sure, why not? So, if you guys remember, not too long ago, the Rip Tour podcast asked everyone to make their own speculation map. So, me and Connor, being the Horror Nights fans that we are, made a couple of speculation maps. So today, we're going to present both of our speculation maps to Senor ZombieChris and ask him which house he would like at each location based on our maps.
Yeah, so these are, they're basically, I guess you could call it pipe dream maps. Just a bunch of stuff that we would like to see come to the event one day. And Losh had some really good ideas that made me think, maybe that would be better than my idea. But I have some definitely dream properties on here, so I'm excited to talk about it.
And before we dive into it, Chris, why don't you tell them where they can find us?
You can find us over on Instagram and Twitter. It is Boo Bros INC, which I believe stands for Incorporated. So check us out over on Instagram and Twitter, Boo Bros INC.
I just want to say this video, we're basically going house by house, location by location, telling Chris what's better, this or that, and why. So I'm gonna let Connor go first with his first house in location A. Go ahead, my friend.
Right, so location A is going to be what I assume is like the Ghostbusters Stranger Things soundstage. And I actually went ahead and put it in that location. It's kind of a basic choice, but I just feel that Pennywise kind of ended up being the most iconic horror villain of the 2010s. And I think he's the kind of timeless villain that you could have literally any year. And it would just make so much sense. It would bring so many people in. I'd probably make this, I guess, a mega house, part from part one and then the other part from part two. I would have to throw at least an Easter egg, maybe one scare in from 1990, just because I just love 1990 so much. But yeah, I just went ahead and put it there. That's like my headlining property.
Sounds nice. I've always wanted to see that at Horror Nights as well, no joke. Let's go over to mine. Mine is The Conjuring. This is the whole entire Conjuring universe. Being in this location, which is usually a soundstage, it's pretty big. So you can really dive into all the Conjuring movies. Annabelle's, they're not that loved, but there's some good content you can use there. And The Nun. Basically, same thing Connor said. It's something that's big in the 2010s. It's one of the biggest horror franchises right now.
I think it and The Conjuring were the two biggest that came out of the 2010s. They'll like be the most remembered, like in the long run.
Exactly, they're super iconic. And with that being said, Chris, out of these two houses, which would you prefer to see?
Very good, solid choices, gentlemen. I feel like if Horror Nights announced a It house, it would blow the roof off the soundstage. Tickets would fly. Me personally, it's got to be The Conjuring. I've been a fan of The Conjuring since the beginning. I've always wanted to experience it, and then the fact that you said it's going to be the Conjuring universe thrown in there, so like La Llorona, Annabelle, everything from the Conjuring universe, it's got to go The Conjuring. Sorry, Connor.
So now moving on to location B, this is the second soundstage over. So this would be technically where Yeti was for 29, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So this to me will be a sequel to Scarecrow called Scarecrow the Revenge. Imagine the crop field was level and dusted. There's nothing there but bare desert. So imagine kind of like the Desert Valley Mall, but it's now technically you're walking into this bare area and it's just the Scarecrow seeking revenge on the land they lost. So you're traveling through like a suburban town trying to figure out what's wrong here. But the deeper you get into this town, the deeper you get into trouble, and the more Scarecrows show up towards the end, leading towards a giant encounter.
Well, that's going to be a hard one to follow up. But for that location, I pretty much just put the Forsaken versus Gothic. And I'm going to be honest, it's not a fully fleshed out idea, but it's kind of an idea I've had in my head for a little bit. And these are two of, well, honestly, out of all the original houses that I didn't get to experience, are probably the two that I wish I could have seen. So I figured I would just kind of put them together, and that would be a good one for me. Loose concept would maybe be like the Forsaken, they got their little ghost ship going and they crash into the cathedral, the Gothic cathedral, and it ends up being a war between those two creatures, almost like the Forsaken and Gothic, but also with some elements of the Fallen in there, kind of that little war thing that you had going on in the Fallen. And I'm just picturing crazy set pieces, like I'm picturing like a crazy scene where like you saw where the ghost ship crashed into the cathedral, similarly to the Forsaken, which I believe they had that with like Fort. I just think it would be really cool to see these two original characters come together. But like I said, it's not a fully fleshed out idea like Losh has there with the Scarecrow sequel, but it's just a rough idea that I think would be really sick.
You are not making this easy on me. I love the Scarecrow. Do I want to see a sequel? And do I feel like Universal can do it justice? Or if it's going to be like, that was good, but nowhere near the original? Or do I want to see something that is truly original that I don't think we've seen them do at the event, as far as having two properties kind of be in the same like a house together? I'm gonna have to go with Connor's idea, just because I don't want them to screw up Scarecrow. I want a sequel, but I want to remember it being the best that it ever is and the best that it ever could be. But having the Forsaken meets Gothic would be epic. It goes right along with my personal idea of always doing the body collectors versus the Nightingales. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Connor's idea.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can take it here for C, and I will say I think Losh's idea for C is like top tier, I believe, if it's the one I'm thinking of. So once he put that, I almost like just wanted to change it. But I actually have the Villains of Batman. This is a maze treatment that I did. ZombieChris is actually familiar with this treatment because he edited my video for that particular treatment. So you pretty much know what it is. But for those who don't know, like pretty simple concept. The villains take over Gotham. Batman loses. At the beginning of the house, you see like a crashed Batmobile. You see Robin's corpse, and basically a different villain has kind of taken a different section of Gotham and made it their stronghold. So you could have like Two-Face would take over the Gotham courthouse, and like half of it would be all charred and stuff, and the other half would look better to kind of be Two-Face. You'd have a Poison Ivy room. You'd have a Joker room, of course. That'd be like your finale. I'm picturing Joker kind of up on like a pedestal, almost like that clown in Carnival Graveyard in 28, you know what I mean? And he's kind of given a whole spiel. You could have like a Mr. Freeze room where you make it cold. And then you could have kind of some of the like supplementary villains kind of be scares in between and like transition scenes, like Bane, Catwoman, stuff like that. And at the very end, you'll see Batman appear and kind of have that look in his eyes like he's gonna go in for one last stand. So that's my Villains of Batman house idea.
I love that idea, because when you did it for the maze treatments, I was like, that's a great house. I'd love to see that myself. Now I want to talk about a pipe dream house that I've had in the back of my head for years. Something we'll probably never see at Horror Nights, but we can hope so. It is called Atlantis, the Lost City. So when I made this, I had a whole concept. I wrote down a whole story. I actually have an entire video coming out with an entire maze treatment for this.
Whoa.
So, yeah. So, you know the Eighth Wonder expedition group from Kong, they decided to try to venture under the sea and discover what's really in Atlantis and if Atlantis exists. As soon as they get to this bioluminescent dome, they notice that things aren't normal. There's no one there and it's quiet. But they see Poseidon's trident. Someone in the group goes and grabs the trident. And he thinks, he thinks, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to take it and keep it. There are tremors throughout the entire area. In come multiple Greek beings from Atlantis. You know who I'm talking about? Basically, Poseidon, basically Trident. I don't know if that's his actual name. I don't know how to say it. Trident?
Triton? Is that one?
Triton.
Maybe?
Triton. There you go. His son. It's Atlantis' son. And you're basically on the run from them until the Trident gets returned. At the very end of this house, the Trident is returned, but you're not safe, as multiple mermen will be chasing you out.
Yeah, I would kill to see that. That's definitely on my list of pipe dream houses now, for sure. Atlantis, that'd be so sweet.
Ooh.
And by the way, I don't remember if we said, but this is a soundstage house as well.
Okay.
This would be C, so the same location as where Tooth Fairy was.
Villains, quite a different take that I don't think anyone has ever thought of. Atlantis, completely different take, completely original. I'm having to give it to Atlantis. Sorry, Connor.
That's got to be the toughest one, I think, out of all of this.
That's a very hard competition.
Because I can imagine just like, it's almost giving me vibes of some of the scenes that was in what's the
Hades?
Hades mixed with a little bit of what's the house that we went in last year, Connor? And you
Depths of Fear.
Depths, yeah.
Yeah.
So like those two mixed together, and maybe there's scenes that they can do like screens where it's like the water effect, like you're feeling like you're actually under the water. Oh man, blue lighting, like just mystical creatures that we've never seen, like the glowing fishes.
I love mythology, so anything that they do, and like classical history too, like even the stuff that's not myth, but like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, anything involving that, I'm really going to be interested in. So yeah, I would love to see Atlantis, but I'm gonna give it to Losh here for the next one, which is going to be the last soundstage.
All right, so this is our fourth and final soundstage, and to me, Vamp has been represented in a scare zone 2 times. It is possibly one of the most popular scare zones in modern history, so the last 5 to 10 years. I feel like it was about time that it was given some love in a house. And what better way than in a soundstage? Now, when I say Vamp Legion, I mean vampires throughout the ages. So imagine the vamps in the 2010s. Imagine the vamps now in the 1930s. All these different vampires throughout the eras, and the scenario, like the scenery matching the vamps. So basically walking through history with the vamps is essentially what I'm going with on this house.
Very cool, very cool. I'd love to see that, like kind of a through the decades kind of thing. But I actually have an IP for mine, and it's one that I think would literally never come, and that is BioShock. This is one of my favorite game series of all time, and I wish they would go back to video game houses one day. I have a hard time seeing it happening, but just imagine walking through Rapture and seeing all the splicers, the little sisters, and of course the big daddies. There's so many great scenes in BioShock. You could get the golf club scene at the end. You could have some BioShock 2 in there. This would probably mostly be focused on the first game, but I'm also a huge sucker for BioShock Infinite, but I don't really think it works in a house. So, you know, maybe some Easter eggs here and there, but it would mostly be focused on the first BioShock game.
Oh, it's a tough one too. I I'm gonna have to give it to Losh. Sorry.
It's all right.
Only
it's all right.
because I feel like, yes, Vamp has had his time in his own, and when you said like, yeah, Vamp has been twice in like, and then when you said like a house, I was like, oh no, like how is this gonna go? And then when you went through the idea, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of unique, neat idea there. I love BioShock. BioShock is beautiful. BioShock kind of reminds me of like the Atlantis, but with a twist, almost like Saws and Steamish.
Yeah, definitely similar aesthetic.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to the Vamp. Sorry.
Okay. I would love to see BioShock someday at the event.
Yeah, I wish they would just go back to video game houses. Just once in a while, throw us a bone. MIB tent, straight up, I just went with the classic Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. I don't really know. You don't really have to explain it a whole lot. It's Freddy Krueger. As we saw with the House of 1,000 Corpses, I think they could build a pretty respectable house facade right there. But yeah, I mean, it's Freddy Krueger, and it would be the original film. And Freddy's my favorite horror icon, so it's just one I'd really like to see happen.
Surprise, Sydney. All right. No, I'm kidding. So for the MIB 10, I went Scream. I feel like this is something that should have happened a long time ago, back at 25. We should have gotten Scream. Now, however, I'm not going to focus on all of the movies, how I feel like all the movies don't strongly represent the character. I'm just going to focus on the first one with the potential of it returning in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like you can really dive into this property and allow it to flourish being just one.
We don't cuss on this channel, so I'm not going to cuss both of you out for putting me in this tough position. God damn. I love Scream. You know this. I'm a Scream fanatic, Scream stan. But I also do love me some Freddy. Oh, damn. Oh, shoot. I'm gonna have to give it to Losh.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it.
I feel like
You're
been
the
long
biggest Scream
overdue
Yeah.
that we deserve a Scream house.
Oh yeah.
We've had Freddy, and Freddy's always been good. I believe we'll have Freddy again. Scream is kind of like, I believe that's going to be a once in a lifetime type of thing.
So now we are diving into the Sprung tents. This is Sprung tent 1, if I'm not mistaken. So this is where we had Slaughter Cinema. So my idea here is sort of similar to Slaughter Cinema, but it's not well, it is an original, but not an original. It is Universal Monsters Creature Feature. So you're basically diving into all the different creatures that have been a classic monster. So you got Creature from the Black Lagoon, you got the Melaluna mutant from this planet Earth, and you have the Mole People. All of them are phenomenal, and it really allows you to go through different terrains. You can visit the Black Lagoon, you can go to space, and you can go underground. 3 different terrains you don't typically see all in one house. I just feel like it can be well, and in a Sprung tent, it's a lot better because it's a lot tighter, and you can really get those full-on effect of being in a creature feature.
So I almost ended up axing this one in favor of an IP Fright Night, but I want to keep my IP to original balance, good. So I'm going to stick with what I wrote down originally, which is actually going to be a Dead Man's Wharf house. I'm just picturing, the big ship for the facade. So you enter into their ship. They've crashed into a bay town like San Francisco, or like a pier, and there's tons of fog. You kind of hear like the kind of ghostly moans and like the ringing bells of the ships as you're walking into the house. So it's, the mood starting all the way in the queue, and you get in, and it's Dead Man's Wharf. It's the aesthetic of Dead Man's Wharf. You've got the scare zone characters that you had in 2016. Yeah, it's basically a zone that was pretty well received, getting a house.
All right. So Connor, you get the pick.
I got one.
Losh's was good. Love B movie, love Slaughter Cinema. I think Universal once again knocked it out of the park when they created Slaughter Cinema, along with like the Vamp universe and Nightingales and Body Collectors, because it will be used again and again. It's something that will be a part of the event. But Dead Man's Wharf, it was just beautiful. Just having that ship, just everything about like that type of setting gave me like John Carpenter's The Fog.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wanted to have that kind of vibe into a house. Yeah. Connor, you got the pick.
Yeah, I gotta agree on that one. That's something I've always wanted to see in a house ever since we had that scare zone.
Yeah, I think it would translate pretty well. This is the other Sprung tent. So I went with kind of a weird one here. So basically, I'm picturing like kind of a 50s aesthetic, and it's basically you're gonna follow along with a masked killer. Again, this is kind of a loose concept, so I don't really know what the mask would look like, but you're following a masked killer, and throughout the house, you're gonna notice little clues. Now, you're also gonna have like suspects. So in the queue leading up to the house, you're gonna hear news reports about these killings, and you're gonna talk about possible suspects. And before you enter the house, you're gonna see the suspects, kind of like a police lineup kind of deal. And the goal is, while you're going through the house, to pick up on clues that'll point you to who did it. And then when you get to the end of the house, the killer will be unmasked, and you'll get to see if you got it right or not. That's pretty much the idea there. I also maybe toyed with the idea of the person getting unmasked is different every time, but then you kind of have to have clues that could point to different directions throughout the house. But yeah, it's kind of like an interactive, like you kind of have to figure out what's going on and see if you get it right in the end.
I like it. Now I'm going to dive into my Sprung tent, my second Sprung tent here. So, to my knowledge, Asylum in Wonderland was probably not well received for 25. It's a lot of people's least favorite house from this year. However, I feel like it deserves a sequel. I feel like we need to dive back into ultra-violent comics, and we need to have another 3D house at Horror Nights. So, Return to Wonderland 3D was born. This will be taking you right back into Wonderland. However, the 3D effects won't be as poppy. It's going to be more of, think of the in-between, but with some aesthetics of Asylum. Match the two together, make it darker and grittier. And there's Return to Wonderland in 3D.
I like both ideas. Is 3D dead for Horror Nights? That's the thing. I feel so bad picking. But I've never heard of an idea like Connor threw out there. Although I know it probably needs some polishing here and there.
Yeah.
But that is really unique. I don't think I've ever heard anything kind of be close to an interactive type of thing like that, where you gotta follow the story, and especially having like the unmasked change, or at least a change with the cast. That is very interesting, and that could really be something to drive you to go back through it so many times to try to figure out every clue. So Connor, you get the pick.
I wanted to add something when it comes to Connors. I wanted him to win. Anyways,
Damn you for putting that pressure on me.
both they can have two separate casts. Well, obviously there's always two separate casts, but in the two casts, maybe they can have certain things done to certain suspects in order to add to that, who done it. That way it's two different things. And sometimes they even have the C and D cast. They can even have 4 different scenarios if we're being realistic. And you can see all 4 of them taking place. That way it's really a who done it and you're not sure. It's like playing like Clue, but going through a haunted house.
But done through a haunted house experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Could be really
well done. Well done. I love that idea. That is.
Thank you.
Trademark. You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first.
Not even. If anyone from Universal's listening, just please do it. I don't care. You don't have to credit me. Just do it.
All right. Now we will go into the first parade building house. This is where they had graveyard? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Yeah. Graveyard trick or treat.
Yes. This is where they have graveyard games. So for me, I feel like we should finally get Halloween 3 Season of the Witch here. However, we're not going to call it Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. We're just going to call it Season of the Witch because I feel like that's more appealing to the audience. Because if they read Halloween 3, they're going to go in expecting Michael Myers, and there's not going to be a single Michael Myers except for a minor cameo on a TV. That's it. It's basically going to take you through the movie, seeing the Silver Shamrock Company go and try to kill this massive people.
Well, I went IP as well for this one, and I double dipped on the video games because again, this was kind of just supposed to be a whole pipe dream thing, and I would love to see this happen. I went with Dead Space, which is terrifying, but it's also very beautiful, very scenic. Your main character that you play as is just so iconic. It would be so awesome to see like his helmet and everything in the house. Obviously, there are countless villains that you can have in this. It would be in a parade building, but it would still be very scary, very close quarters. With the odd, the reason it's in a parade building is because every once in a while you're going to get a really big set, but for the most part, it's going to be very scary, very close quarters.
I don't know what the score is, so
I think it's 4-3 Losh.
I don't know. I've just been enjoying this.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, enjoying me being in the hot seat.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So, Losh, you have it.
I would have given that one to Connor. That's
Ooh.
just me. That's just me. I've always wanted to see Dead Space because it reminds me of Interstellar Terror, and it's a house I never was able to go through.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some inspiration there.
I think I didn't pick it because I would have probably peed in my pants.
Those things are just abominations, those creatures. But
Yeah.
so we're on I now, right? The
You're on
second,
I.
the new parade building, so AKA
Yeah.
Monsters and Seeds. So this is rumored for this year actually, but I went ahead and put an Icons house here. Can't go wrong with the Icons, you know. I'm going to represent all of them in this. They're all going to get their own room. They're all going to get their own representation. Even the forgotten ones like Eddie and Cindy. I'm even going to throw Lady Luck in there because I think Lady Luck's a little underrated.
What about Bloody Mary?
Yeah, Bloody Mary will go in. You know, why not? It's basically plain and simple. It's just a huge icon mashup house where you get to see all of them be in themselves pretty much.
All right. I love the idea. I love the concept. Now we're gonna go back. So I feel like every big original content house needs a finale or something to add to their story to make it continue. This is a sequel to Nightingale's Blood Pit and Nightingale's Blood Prey. This is called Nightingale's Blood Bath. Now, we have focused on World War I and Roman times when it comes to Nightingales. This time around, we couldn't really call it anything similar to that, but we're focusing on World War II. That's right, you're gonna see all kind of leaders that weren't supposed to be as powerful as they were in the time being, not gonna say who, but you're gonna see people that represent them just being mauled by Nightingales and it's basically going to be one of the bloodiest wars, World War II, overtaken by the Nightingales.
Nightingales, I have a love-hate relationship with them. Liked them the first time. Wasn't quite sold on them the second time. I'm still waiting on that Nightingales versus Body Collectors. That's not your fault, Losh, but it's got to be icons. Icons are the face of this event, and when you said Bloody Mary would be included, that's cherry on top. Yeah, it's got to be the icons.
Let's get into this big green ogre's house and show him who's boss, because he wasn't the one that made this place. It was Alfred Hitchcock, and this is Alfred Hitchcock getting his own house in Hitchcock Presents. Now, you're not just gonna get Psycho. No, that's plain and boring. We've seen it through the years. You're gonna get all of Hitchcock's masterpieces, whether it be Rear Window, whether it be Vertigo, whether it be The Birds. Anything Hitchcock related is in this house. And it's taking its old home back.
That is true. That is a good point. So I went with basically my comedy house, and now that Killer Clowns has been done, this is probably right up there with the top of my comedy house wish list. I went with Mars Attacks. Just such a fun, stupid movie where little Martians come and vaporize people. And that's what the house would be. It would reflect the comedy of the film, and it would just be great to see those Martians, you know, manifested into real life. Poor ZombieChris.
If it makes it better, it's the last choice.
Yeah, that doesn't. Gosh. I mean, can I just put them both in there and like split? There's 2 theaters and
just get rid of Shrek altogether.
Yeah.
Shoot. Oh man, Mars Attacks is a perfect comedy house. In the vein of Killer Clowns, it just fits so well at this event. It's funny, not to mention all the different like characters. Was it Jack Nicholson?
He was in it, I believe.
Okay,
yeah.
so him playing different characters, that would be hilarious. The dog, just hearing the Martian. But Alfred Hitchcock is a part of Universal history. He is certainly a part of Horror Nights history, and he has not been at this event in a very long time. He is way overdue. And then the fact that we're not going to do Psycho, we're going to do all the other Hitchcock movies, which are really, really good, and people overlook them just because they only know Hitchcock and Psycho. But there's such a deep library that they can pull from. It's got to be Hitchcock.
So this ended 6-4 to Losh, but do we want to say scare zones? We just say them all at once?
I feel like we should do scares. Maybe do another, like if they like this video, we can do another one with the scare zones and shows. Gives you time to pick 2 shows as well.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, so it's up to you guys. If you like the video, please let us know down in the comment section. Please leave this video a like. It lets us know that you love this type of video and you want to see future videos like this on the channel. Boys, do you have any other words?
I just want to see this event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be solid.
Your 6 winners, my 4 winners, put them together. You got.
I think it would be probably the best map I've seen if we put them all together.
I could agree with that.
But anyways, I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. We have a lot of content coming your way because Horror Nights is coming. Haunt season is coming. We have content from both coasts. Us Florida boys are going to focus on our Florida content. But I'm going to let Connor sign it off.
Whoa. Well, these guys pretty much said it all. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of this. And I also wanted to say thank you to everyone that subscribed already. We've really been feeling it. We've been really happy with how things have been going with the channel. And that's all down to you guys. So thank you so much for all that. Follow us on all the social medias, do all that. And I guess we'll see you next time.
Stay spooky, everybody.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Hey.
Hey. What's your name? Where you from?
What do you do for a living?
Just watch and subscribe.